with another Mercenaries PvP video. Now in today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at 5 of the best comps in Mercenaries at the moment. So we have a lot more new Mercenaries coming at the end of the month, or maybe the start of next month. So these are the things to play as of now and probably until that patch drops as well. So let's head over and check out these comps. Okay, so the first comp we have here is a Shadow Yashiraj. I'm sure everybody's seen what this comp is. So it opens with Yashiraj, Kazakus, and Vulgin. And then on our bench is Azura, Sylvanas, and the Lich King. Now, the Lich King is a flex spot. You actually can put Cookie in here, which is doing really well as well. But the Lich King is another red unit just to balance the comp out a little bit more. And it also throws your opponent off at the start of the game, because if they see 4-1-1, they know it's Old Gods. They know it's going to be this Yashira Shadow comp. So putting the Lich King in there throws them off a little bit as well. So you can get a nice little cheeky opener up in there because of that. So we have Yashiraj obviously doing Yashiraj stuff. So what you want to do with this comp is with Kazagus, you're going to be doing build a golem. And then Vulgin with the Ring of Haste obviously going to speed that up. And he is going to Shadow Shock turn 1, trying to slow something down. And then Yashiraj is going to, for free speed, Defiled Attack, which is going to borrow the 2 Divine Shield Golem attacks, plus the other guy's attacks, and do a massive swing. So that's what this comp does at the start. And then on the bench, obviously Sylvanas there because of Kazakus' summons, and is a shadow unit if Vulgin is still alive. And then you've got Azura, Queen Azura there, so that she can actually heal up your party once you're using a shadow ability, which is obviously everything. Shadow for the Lich King as well. The Death Coil is obviously going to be dealing damage or healing, but if he deals damage, he's still going to restore health to himself with the Void equipment. So that's why the Lich King's doing really well in this comp, especially if Vulgin is the surviving merc when you start transitioning some of your bench out. But 9 times out of 10, it's the Yashiraj that obviously dies off first because of the amount of attacks he gets in. With the Defiled Attack repeating on Death Blow, if you're going up against another token comp and you're going to hit those tokens, get them killed, plus you're obviously going to be taking a lot of health once you attack into other units as well. So that is this comp. So I'll go through the equipments in case you want to play it. I will have comp codes in the description below, so if any of you like any of these comps, then just go to the description and just copy and paste, and you'll be away to go. So we got the Marquee Yashiraj with Yashira, Kazakus we have the Wild Vine, Vulgin we have Ring of Haste, Queen Azura we have the passive heal, Sylvanas Death Volley, and Lich King the Void Trance. So that's it for comp number 1. Let's check out the next one. Okay, next up we have Old Gods. So Old Gods we have the N'Zoth, Yogg, and Yashiraj opener, and then we're using the Cthulhu, Vulgin, and the Maestgore bench. So the idea behind this one, this is a little bit slower than the other one, which is running Yashiraj, but we have the full package of Old Gods, all 4 of them in here. So N'Zoth obviously is going to be doing spawns, so he is going to spawn at 5 speed. And then Yashiraj with this one is using the Idol of Yashiraj, which gives everything extra attack. So because of Yogg, you can actually get his Idol of Yashiraj and his Rage Unbound down to a 0 cooldown on turn 2, so you can actually do this on turn 2, which gives everything 27 attack. Obviously this isn't max, so it will be 28 once it is. So you with N'Zoth summon a spawn, that gives you an immune attack unit, so that's going to have you'll have 4 units on turn 1. And then Yogg is going to Mind Yoggle, so he's going to chuck either himself into the deck to bring out Maestgore, which is then going to do a cleave because you have those 4 units. And then on the turn, and you're going to taunt, of course, with Yashiraj on turn 1 because this refreshes your Old Gods. So that's going to be refreshed by 3 with this one. And Yogg is going to refresh by 4 on the Battle Cry. And then N'Zoth is not going to do any refreshing. The reason it's going to refresh to 0 is because the Mind Yoggle actually, once a unit attacks, it refreshes an Old God ability. So that's why Maestgore is in this comp. So Maestgore is going to come out and attack with the Shifting Strike immediately because of the Mask of Mimicry. So that is going to allow you to use the Rage Unbound on turn 2, and you're going to have 4 units out, one of them being Maestgore, which obviously attacks again because you haven't actually used this ability yet. So this is going to be able to either get a cleave or a really big hit at 4 speed. Obviously Rage Unbound is 2 speed, which is going to send everything in. So you're going to be attacking with N'Zoth Summon, Maestgore, because you will send Yogg into the deck, and then Yashiraj as well. So it's an insane clear on turn 2 with the Rage Unbound. And then with N'Zoth as well, getting all of these summons out turn after turn. If a summon survives and it gets buffed by Yashiraj, then you're going to be able to use the Corrupted to kill it off and do a massive AoE the following turn after that as well. And then every time you summon a spawn, it buffs the Cthulhu, which obviously with the body of Cthulhu gets +5, +10. He comes out like 30 attack, over 100 health, and you've got Vol'jin in there for the speed because majority of this is Shadow. Actually, all of this has Shadow abilities, so that's why Vol'jin is in there. Shadow is just insanely good. I don't know what they're going to bring out to try and counter all of this Shadow, but they need to do something for sure. So I'll run through the equipments, comp code below. So we've got Eternal with N'Zoth, Yogg we're using the Awakened Roar, Yashiraj the Idol this time, Cthulhu we're using Body of Cthulhu, Vol'jin Ring of Haste, and Maestgore the Mask of Mimicry. So that's it for this comp. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up we have a Trigore Arcane build. So we're running Reno, Trigore and Nefarian in the opener, and then our bench is Karon, Tyrande and Longzin. So the idea behind this comp is Reno with his Death Rattle equipment. He is going to be using Flexing. Now Flexing is obviously really good to prevent stuff attacking anything else. It's going to force them to attack Reno with ability, so that is the sole reason Reno's in here, to get the taunt up for 2 speed and as well make an ability target him so that your Trigore will proc, because obviously Backlash is 1 speed. So every time they hit Reno, because he's going to be next to him, he is going to obviously proc the Trigore, and then once the Reno dies as well, you get some AoE, some heals and some other mess with his treasure. So that's why Reno's so good in this. Nefarian's in here because obviously he attacks, which procs Trigore, and then he gets a summon which also procs Trigore. So that's the idea here. You actually want to be switching these around and put Nefarian at the top and Trigore, Reno there, so that when you just press play it summons it in the correct order. So that's the order you should have it. And then as of our bench, obviously this is a dragon and Trigore is a beast, so that's why Longzin and Tyrande in here. So use the Band of Bursting Novas, which gives your beasts and dragons, when they die you get +3 arcane damage. Tyrande is just insane with the Arcane Slavo, being able to repeat this once it deals once it kills a merc or a token. Allows you to have some really crazy shenanigans, as you have all probably seen. Longzin with the arcane increase is making this like 32 damage, and then the reason Karon is in here because of the endurance aura, so you're going to be able to speed up these guys even quicker. So whereas Longzin you don't really need the speed because of you're going to be Starfire Blessing on turn 1 unless they have a really big red unit you want to kind of kill with Celestial. The speed is now, obviously this is 5 speed, which is not slow but not super quick, so Karon is just going to be there to help a little bit with that, and it works really well with those 3 if your opener all gets killed off and they come out at the same time. If not, then Karon coming out once Trigore's dead actually helps with Nefarian and Reno, being able to speed up them as well or slow the units down for the following turn with your Tyrande and Longzin. So that's this Trigore Arcane build. Comp code in the description as always. And then we've got Nefarian has got the Dragonflight equipment, Trigore with the Razor Claw, Reno with the Treasure, Karon's Reincarnation, Tyrande's Recurve, and Longzin's Band of Bursting Novas. So that's it for that one. Let's move on. Next up we have a Frost. So no top comp video is going to be complete without a Frost build in there. So we have Lokalar, Varden and Jaina, and then on the bench we have Belinda, Tyrande and Bane. So obviously we're doing our usual Frost stuff with Lokalar, Varden and Jaina. So obviously a lot of stuff wants to go quick, so Varden is going to benefit from that, gaining Frost damage every time something acts before our guys. So that's everything, because our fastest thing is going to be 5 speed. Unless they're using a really weird comp to target Frost, this is going to do a lot of damage. And then Varden, obviously turn 1 is flurrying, shooting 3 random missiles, dealing increased damage because of Lokalar. Is just insane. It's obviously going to slow down obviously them for the following turn as well. And then Jaina in there just popping off ice flows to help with that spell damage in the late game. Once our local art dies off, we still have some scaling with Jaina, using the ice block as well, making it impossible to kill on the first death. Varden obviously using Death Rattle, so once all of that frost damage is scaling, this is going to be a really big AoE, and freezing a unit as well. And then as of the bench, we have Belinda, because she is a frost merc as well, bringing out a summon which freezes, so Belinda just naturally fits in the frost. Once local art dies off, you can benefit from the Jaina scaling, so that Belinda can come out and benefit from that scaling with the frost art. And then on the other side of it, we have Tyrande and Bane. So instead of using the Longzin in this comp, because there's no Dragon or Beast, we're using Bane. So Tyrande with the Band of the Wilds allows you to use a nature ability, and Bane has a really big nature ability, which is the Earth Mother Fury. Deal 25 damage to all enemies. If you can combo that out twice, that's obviously going to be 50 damage to a green unit, and then another 50 damage to a green unit. So it's going to be 50 to everything else, but 100 to greens. If you get any kills, it sets the cooldown to all enemies on their original value, so it really does counter out a lot of stuff that people might be trying to combo out in the late game. And it's just a solid pair of mercs. They are flex spots. You can put like a Cookie and a Sinestra in here, but the Tyrande and Bane is showing quite well. The reason behind Bane's equipment as well is you don't want to be using the Totemic Mastery because of the Tyrande Longzin builds. That's obviously a merc that Tyrande can kill off in the late game, and then that's going to pop it off again. So you want to be using the Chieftain Feather or the Chain Heal, so that you can actually prevent getting a proc from Tyrande in the late game on their side if they're using the Longzin one. So that's it for this one, so let's move on and check out the next one. Okay, and last but not least is probably my favourite comp, and that is the Pirate Maestgore. So a little bit of play on words with these units. So the reason this is my favourite is because it's pirates, so I quite like using pirates, and this is probably the best one in the game when it comes to pirates. So we're using Elise, Trigore and Eudora in the opener, and then Maestra, Edwin and Sneed on the bench. So Elise is there to buff up your units, so you obviously have pirates on the bench, so you kind of want to get them bigger, so you're going to be using the Quest for the Golden Monkey quite a lot. With the healing, you're not going to be using the Starseeker at all to try and buff up not only Trigore, which gets a nice buff, which is nice, but the other units on the bench as well benefit from it. Trigore obviously doing Trigore bits with the Razor Claw and the Backlash, and then Eudora, real special spot here with the cannon. You're going to have 4 mercs at the start of the game, which means once you swing in with Eudora and get a proc with Trigore, it's going to bring out the Maestra. Maestra is then going to swing, which will proc the Trigore again. Plus, it will get a cleave because you have 4 mercs and they only have 3, so you'll be positioned next to 2 of them. And then at the end of the turn as well, Eudora is going to fire off the cannon as well, hitting whatever Eudora hits. So depending on where Eudora is positioned and where you're going to hit, either the left or right. If you're going for a middle, it obviously won't fire the cannon, but if you want to kill one of the corner units, then obviously that will fire the cannon, dealing extra damage. And then once your Elise and Trigore end up dying off, or your Eudora and Trigore or anything, you then have the speed advantage with Edwin using the Black Flag, and the Sneed as well with the extra blades, all getting buffed attacks from the Elise, and coming out doing huge damage at ridiculous speed. So Edwin obviously doesn't get a speed increase, but Sneed at 2 speed and 0 speeds can deal AoE damage and obviously attack a unit randomly, gaining more attack. You're kind of using the Buzz majority of the time because you just want to benefit from that active Buzzsaw once you've obviously brought him out. And then Edwin is also going to speed up Eudora, and Eudora obviously at a 0 speed is going to be attacking whilst buffed, which is really good against the blue units, and firing cannons because majority of those blue units do go in the corner. And if your Trigore is still active as well, obviously you're going to be getting a lot of procs with that. So that's this comp, and that's why it's my favourite. I really enjoy this one. So we have Oasis with Elise, Trigore we have Razor Claw, Eudora we have the cannon, Maestro again, Mask of Mimicry, Edwin Black Flag, and Sneed the extra blades. So that's it for all of the comps. I hope you guys have liked this type of video. I will try and do more once more comps start making their way into the meta that are really good. And all of the comp codes for every single one of these are in the description below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.